Good morning, guys. So new project here, trying to get this one done before the winter really sets in, so it's a bit of a challenge. But we've got an existing concrete pad which I'm stood on right now. It's approximately 20 by 13, and it had a couple of dogs kennels on it when we moved into the property. It's reasonably flat, it's not perfect, it's not cracked, so it's a good enough hard standing as a temporary solution to build a carport on. And the reason for that would be to park both of our Can-Am UTVs under to keep them out of the worst of the weather, just look after them a little bit better. So this is a temporary construction really. My plan would be to move it to a different location at some point when we eventually get round to building our barn, which will sit over here about 80 feet away. So I had some timbers, white pine timbers, which I'd had for some time. They've been stacked and drying. Didn't really know what to do with them, but it looks like I've got enough to timber frame the bulk of this construction, which would probably be 3 roof trusses. We've got a 19-foot long clear span beam here. That's 8 by 12 approximately. And I'm remilling all of the timbers that I'm using here. I already had them milled by somebody else actually. I did not do them on my own mill. I couldn't get enough logs, white pine logs. So got a very good deal off of someone local, and I had them mill everything oversized. So this is currently 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 straight off the mill, my mill. It was more like 10 by 10. So I've just resawn it as square and straight as possible. And now my process, and I'm no expert in doing this at all, but my process is to now, using this power planer, is to plane these down to approximately 8 inches square. I think slightly under that, because to be honest with you, I have these very nice, extremely over-engineered stainless steel post foot brackets, which a friend of mine made for me. And I think the distance here is measuring slightly under 8 inches. So that's really what I'll probably end up finishing the dimensions of the post at, probably 1/8 under 8 inches. And that's essentially what the width of this beam is as well. It's just under 8 inches. So that should all tie up nicely. So I'm going to go ahead now and plane this post on all 4 sides. First face will be my Dayton face, and then I'll turn it 90 degrees. Second Dayton face square to that, and then just size the post as square and straight as possible, which gives us a much better chance of everything matching up and going together better when the joinery is cut, rather than using timbers that are not straight and not square. It's just my process. I find it easier. So let's go. Taking about somewhere between a 32nd and 16th on each pass. I like to sneak up on the dimension rather than take too much and then not be able to get it squared off. this should be good enough. It's not quite as long as the post, but actually I have to cut this post down anyway. So this is an 8-foot straight edge, and that I can't see any light under that at all. So it's actually perfectly straight. And now we'll check it for square. So if we call this now our datum face, I'll just mark that so I don't forget. And now I'll square off with that. So that looks like that's about an 1/8 out of square, with the bottom edge being high essentially, which is pushing my square out and leaving a gap at the top. So if that's relatively uniform now, seems to be at least within probably a 30-second anyway. So now I can rotate this timber and there's different ways that I've tried to achieve squaring these timbers up with this large power planer. Sometimes I'll use a shim on the front of the planer to kick it up at an angle and take more off one side than the other. But I've found honestly that if I use my small planer here and just hit the high edge a couple of times, it's enough to kick the big planer over and set it flat, and normally I can get it within a 30-second, which is for me more than good enough if I'm using big timbers like this. And now of course I've pulled the extension cord out, so that's not going to work. Let's go plug that back in. Right, sorry about that. So I know that this edge is high, so I'm just going to take from experience, I'm going to hit that twice. Shallow to cut off and just take the high spot off in the middle. It's probably enough, but we'll see. Okay. One more pass. So I probably went a tiny bit too much there. So that's okay though, because I know that I've got enough thickness on the timber. We're still at 8 1/8 nearly. So we'll take a small pass with a small planer again. Always losing things. There we go. Okay. I think we're going to go for one more pass just because it takes 2 seconds and I can probably get this near on perfect, which honestly is over the top, but why not? Don't you just love power chords? I would say that's within a 30-second. So we'll call that good. Probably a 30-second gap underneath the 8-foot straight edge. Okay, so this will be our second datum face.